to the Bowtie Edge, Real Estate Unraveled, where we strip away the legal jargon and get real about real estate, helping homeowners, investors, brokers, agents, lenders, and my fellow attorneys to talk about what you actually need to know. I'm your host, Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, affectionately referred to as the Bowtie Attorney, bringing you unfiltered insights from the professionals on the front lines of real estate law. This isn't theory, it's strategy. Real estate, untangled, unfiltered, with an edge. Let's fly. We're here today with Miss Ricky Runnels. She is an amazing broker, and we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff actually. So we've got two big subjects. The first one is, what are the three things, right? That let me see, what do I have? Three biggest mistakes that people have in distress. And the second thing we're going to talk about is, what are the three biggest mistakes of first-time home buyers? Welcome, Nikki.
Hello, how are you?
I am good. Nikki, where are you based out of?
Well, I am in the Chicagoland area. Obviously, I work with KRGW Realty, and that is located in Brookfield.
I love it. Brookfield. Oh, that's over by the museum, the zoo,
By the
right?
zoo. Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. Um, and no, the real estate market is not the zoo we were talking about. We're actually talking about the real zoo, the Brookfield Zoo. Um,
It's a zoo, but yes, not
it
that
is a
one.
zoo. It is a zoo. So let's tackle the first one, right? We'll talk about the three biggest mistakes that people make that were in the distress. And you and I were talking about this briefly. What would you say would be one of the number one mistakes that people make when they're in distress?
Well, the number one mistake that I see when people are in distress is that they basically wait too long to reach out for help. So
Okay.
I normally tell them that the first line of defense is actually speaking with your lender because
Got
there
it.
are options available to help you get back on track, or they can maybe give you some type of leeway depending on what your situation is. So the first step I would say is to get in contact with your lender.
What have you seen from your perspective? And I know you and I are going to look at it from two different sides, right? So we've got two different lenses. What do you see as the what can happen? What's the downside of waiting too long? Like what ends up happening when they wait too long and don't talk to the right people?
Okay, yeah. So I am a short sale foreclosure resource specialist. So the thing that can happen when they wait too long is that they actually want run out of resources. So my job as a real
Right.
estate agent, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lender, but I'm here to guide them and let them know what resources may be available to them. So they may be able to go into, maybe a loan modification, forbearance. There are state and local programs that are able to assist them financially if they need some type of grant funded program to help when they're um, out of whack on their mortgage. So if they haven't paid it in a while, there are resources that they can apply for depending on their circumstances and income that will help them get back on track with their mortgage. So definitely just not getting out there and letting somebody know what your problem is so that they can help.
Got it. Um, and so by waiting too long, they end up losing their resources, which is terrible, right? Because
That's
there are
absolutely
options that
terrible.
people have. They just don't do anything about it. All right.
Yep.
So, all right, the second thing, what is it? What's the second thing? So when we talk about distress, we're talking about people who are in a situation where suddenly they can't afford to pay what they're supposed to pay. We're
Correct.
talking about financial distress. We're not talking about
Yeah.
emotional distress. A lot of us are
Well,
having
the
emotional
the
distress
emotional
these days.
distress is gonna come with it, but,
Yes.
people don't realize that even, when you first start getting that first notice from the bank, you get that phone call from the bank saying your mortgage is late, your payment is late, you are already in that's considered distress. They're giving you notice,
Got it.
they're
Yes.
knocking on your door. You're in that distress stage already. So unless you're able to make that payment, now we have a different set of problems. So if you realize when they're giving you that call at that time that there's going to be a problem, you're behind 30 days and that 30 turns to 60, 90. Now you're in big trouble. So at that first stage when you realize yourself, because we don't know you have a problem, you're the only one that knows you have a problem. When you first get that phone call and you realize there's not much you can really do about it right now, you need to be in contact with somebody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, all right, so then the next thing is, um so what is the second thing that people get in trouble with that second big mistake that they're not looking at when they are in distress?
Well, taxes, obviously, especially within the city of Chicago right now. So
Yes.
when taxes go up, as they just did, and you don't have enough in your escrow
They
account to
have.
cover it, now you got escrow
Right.
shortage, and
Right.
people are mad at their lender because they think their lender somehow raised their mortgage when that essentially is not the case. It's usually your taxes or insurance or a combination of both have went up, and now if you're someone that had, let's just say you had a $1,700 mortgage, now you have a $2,300 mortgage. For a lot of people, that few $100 can make a difference in what they're able to afford and how they're able to live their lives.
Absolutely. Like when it's interesting, we see that you're right. They're like, oh my God, my payment has gone up and I can't afford it anymore. And they think it's a mortgage issue, but in reality, it's a tax issue, right? The
Yes.
real estate taxes have gone out of whack and have increased so much. And the interesting part, I don't know if you've seen this, but like people will like that escrow shortage. What the banks end up doing is when they reassess the escrow, they do it in such a way that dramatically increases their escrow account because now they're trying to make up for the shortfall. Plus, they want to make sure they have enough for the next payment.
Yes.
So, so if they, for example, like let's say your taxes jump up $6,000, that's an extra $500 a month, right? But problem is they're now 6,000 short for the current year.
Yeah.
So they need to make $500 a month to make up for the old 6,000 for this year that they're negative, and then they need $500 for the next month for the next year's taxes. So now you have 500 for last year, 500 for this year. So now you're $1,000. Your payment just went up by $1,000 because the taxes went up so high.
And for most
Um,
people, that's catastrophic.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what would you in that particular case? Have you had certain like what have you looked at, or what has come up usually as the reasoning for that jump in taxes? Is there something behind it? Have you found from your perspective?
Well, I mean, just from my understanding, just in certain spaces, there's not enough commercial taxes coming into the city to cover that gap. So then that
Right,
responsibility falls on the homeowners, and they have to cover that expense. So, and most people obviously don't find that to be fair, but it is what it
right.
is.
The government needs its budget, needs its money
Yeah.
to be paying for things, right?
Yep.
So interesting things that I've found when we're coming across people whose tax bills have gone up. One, most obvious one is the homeowner's exemption. I can't tell you how many people have lost their homeowner's exemption or don't have a homeowner's exemption. And that's pretty straightforward. That's just filling out the form at the Cook County Clerk's office and submitting your homeowner's exemption. The cool thing is, I don't know if you know this, but if you file it and you haven't done it for the last few years, you can actually file it and go back
You
three
can
or
go
four
back.
years.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
one
So
of the
that's
things, typically as well, that when I speak with sellers um, about their exemption. So, have you gotten your seniors exemption? Have you gotten your all of the exemptions
homeowners,
that are available to you, your
right?
homeowners exemptions? Because not everybody, I don't know why, but not everybody knows that that even
Nope,
exists. I want every piece of money that's available to me. So I want to keep whatever I
absolutely.
can in my pocket. So that's one of the things that I do discuss.
And even if you fix that, like let's say you go back and you get the homeowner's exemption, it doesn't fix the escrow problem.
Right. No.
So that's a much different fight that has to happen with the escrow company in terms of adjusting. And so if you end up getting like a huge refund from your escrow, or not from your escrow, from the county because you didn't get the homeowner's exemption, my recommendation is you apply that to the escrow to bring the escrow back down. Some
Yes.
people take it and they go buy a new car or they buy
Yep.
some new stuff, but that's a terrible idea. Like you want that to go back into the escrow to pay down the escrow to stop the bleed.
Yeah,
The
you definitely can't live in your car. So
No, you can't. You cannot. Despite people buying really nice cars and living in really shitty houses, right?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, the other thing that I've seen is there's no tax appeals, so they haven't appealed their taxes, which is interesting because in the tax appeal process you have to mark Sometimes they'll have errors, like they'll put the square footages wrong, or they'll include more bedrooms than there are, or more bathrooms.
Hmm.
So that's one thing to definitely look at, um, as well as the assessed value. So, and it's hard to do the assessed value because you're really comparing it to other people in the neighborhood.
Yes.
So, how do you find other properties? And that's where a good broker comes in, right? Like you, that can do the assessment and say how many other deals happen in the neighborhood that can help get a more realistic number as to what the value of the property is. And then that has to be an appeal.
Yes.
Um, I've seen the other one is vacancy. Like property might be an investment property that's vacant for a year or 2 years. That needs to be submitted as an appeal. That, oh wait, the property's been vacant. You shouldn't get counted for that. So yeah,
And there's a
so
lot
that's
of
the
that in
second.
Chicago. A lot of purchases, buying holes, and they're not improving the property necessarily, and they're just sitting there. So there's a lot of that in the city of Chicago as well.
Oh yeah, and or they paid too much for it, and now they're basing it on the purchase price
Hmm.
versus what the actual value of the property is.
Yeah, especially
Uh,
during COVID. We saw a lot of that during COVID where people were overpaying just to win the deal. And now
right.
they don't really have equity. They're upside down, basically.
Yep. 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 And we're seeing that. We're still seeing that. Like we're still seeing people overpaying for properties, pretty much because of the lack of inventory. There's not enough
Yes.
inventory that's out there. So not there's a and sellers don't want to sell because if they sell, they got to buy at a higher
At
interest rate.
these current interest rates. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people I know who have been long-term homeowners, they have like 2 and 3% interest rates. And so they have a huge amount of equity, right? But if they sell their home, it's like, okay, well, where am I going to go? What am I going to buy?
Right.
Because my mortgage is only $1,500, but now I have to go buy this new house that's probably smaller than the house that I have, and now I'm paying $3,000. So it doesn't make
Correct.
mathematical sense for
Nope.
long-term homeowners.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And so what is the third biggest mistake that people in distress end up doing on their house when they're
Well,
in
really,
trouble?
just again, it goes back to the resources. They're not talking to the right people, so they need to
The
speak
right
with
people.
a a great attorney like yourself. They need to speak to
Thank
their
you.
lender. They need to speak. There are programs through IDA, and just like I said, different local government, state programs. So they're really just not speaking to the right people. If they're speaking to somebody that tells them, "Oh, just wait it out. The county's behind on foreclosures, and it's going to take a minute to get to you." Don't listen to those people. You cannot estimate
I think
if
foreclosures
the
go
county is
faster.
behind. You know.
Oh yeah, and we're seeing foreclosures go much faster than they
Yes.
used to. I mean, you used to sitting there for 2 or 3 years doing nothing, but now they're really accelerating that process to get it done. So we're seeing foreclosures from start to finish happening within the same calendar year.
Oh
It's
yeah, they're
insane.
coming to get you. They're coming to
Oh
get
yeah,
you if you have
oh yeah,
to.
and then they're hitting those deficiencies. They're getting
Yes.
those deficiencies. Those are terrible. So talking to the right people. So that includes finding. It's not just any old broker, right? So you need to speak to a broker who deals in this space, right?
Yes. And not just any broker, not just any attorney, because certain attorneys do they work in real estate, but this is not their niche. Foreclosure is
Right.
not their niche. They do regular real
Correct.
estate. They need an
Yep.
attorney that really goes hard and specializes in this, because there are a lot of nuances in trying to get yourself back on track or to prevent yourself from losing your home. So you need somebody that
Exactly.
really, really specializes in your situation, not just a general real estate attorney.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then same thing with the brokers. If you've got a broker who doesn't understand what the process is, or what this, if they're doing a short sale, or if they're doing some sort of distress transaction, if the broker doesn't fully understand the transaction, that's going to create a whole nother round and series of issues.
Correct.
I've seen that happen as well. I've definitely seen that happen as well. Um, cool. So, all right. So we got the three things, right? The first one is they are waiting too long to do something. They are not paying attention to the taxes that could be too high and be impacting their abilities. And the
Yes.
third thing is they're not talking to the right people. Uh, we always like talking to the lender is very critical. It's important to figure out what's out there, But I would say that if you are talking to the lender, don't only talk to the lender. You have to talk to another professional, because that
Yes.
lender, even though they have resources that gets more and more limited as you go forward, their objective is to get paid, not to help you.
Absolutely.
So they'll help you up until the point that they can actually get paid. But if it looks like you're not going to pay them, they're going to figure out the
They need
fastest way
their
they can get
money. They need their money, and
your
they're going to make sure
absolutely.
they get it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I love it. I love it. And we've got it. We were doing a webinar, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
June, when is it?
June
June 25th?
22nd from
22nd.
5 p.m. to 7.
I love it.
And that is for any homeowner. And you might not be in foreclosure right now, but maybe you are concerned about your ability to pay your mortgage. So that's where we talk about getting that help before it becomes a problem, getting that help before it becomes a catastrophe, and you are out of options. So what we're planning on doing for this webinar is to just give you the information. I mean, it's not a sales pitch. We don't need you to use myself or Faisal. We're giving you
Nope.
the information so that you can advocate for yourself and you can do it early.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. June 22nd from 5 to 7. It's going to be a webinar. We're going to post it, throw it out there. So be sure not to miss it. It's going to talk about not only these 3 biggest mistakes that people make who are in distress, but also other things that you are going to run into and the actual how to, right? So it's going to be 2 hours of how to find the right lender, what language to use with your lender, what language to look for your taxes and your appeals, what to do and how to talk to a professional. What are you asking? What are the questions that you want to ask for a professional to be able to find the right person to help you with this situation? It's like going
Yeah.
to a doctor, right?
Yeah, like going to a doctor, and even and I say it's for homeowners and home sellers, but a person that wants to potentially buy can also benefit from this webinar, because you want to know the pitfalls of actually home ownership. You want to put yourself in a great position when you decide to purchase a home so that you don't fall into any of these categories, So we want to be able
Absolutely.
to preventative measures before you even get to this
Absolutely.
step.
Which leads us to the next segment, right? And so we'll take a short pause of 10 seconds, so that way our editors can cut this out and make sure we got a second podcast out of this, right? So be
Okay.
sure to catch, this is our first podcast. You're going to catch the second one. The first one we talked about was the 3 mistakes that people make when distress. And podcast number 2 is going to be, what are the 3 biggest mistakes that first-time home buyers make?
Yep.
So the 3 biggest mistakes of first-time home buyers, and not necessarily just first-time home buyers, it could be any real buyer, right, who's buying a house. What are those 3 mistakes, Nikki, that people make? What's the first one?
Ooh, well, the first one is actually not being prepared for the entire process. So you need to know your finances before even going in. So when was the last time you did your own credit check? You get a free credit check once a year. So you should be able to look at that and find out at least what your score is. You should already know your financial health. What are your bills? What are your debts? What things can you pay down ahead of time? And I would say, that's number one. So basically, not being in a position to know where you are. So you're overextending yourself in the first place. So you should definitely know what your financial health is before even starting to look for a home.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
make sure you're able to get a pre-approval. So that should be your first step.
Right. So making sure you're qualified, making sure you have the finances, knowing what your actual budget is, especially now with prices coming up, right? Like,
oh yeah,
buying groceries is at least twice to 3 times more than what it used to be 5 or 6 years ago.
yes.
I know insurance has gone up for a lot of people, especially those who used to be on the healthcare exchange. Those credits and those support and those advanced payments to bring insurance down has gone away. So now my insurance went up at least 3 times what it used to be, which is crazy. Gas prices now went from $2.50 to now, I mean, I've seen it at $5 and $6 a gallon,
Yes.
which is insane, and that's only going to go up, right? It's not coming down.
And I have a pair of pink roller skates right now that are at some point going to act as my vehicle, because I just refuse to pay the gas prices. But you really don't have a choice if you got to go somewhere. But the roller skates are looking pretty good at this point.
Absolutely. Like you're on little scooters and stuff to actually save money.
Yeah,
Totally, totally. I used to have, I still have it. I mean, but when I was in the city, I used to use it a lot. My little red scooter, right? So it'd get me from home to work to the courthouse. I loved it because I could park anywhere, right? I didn't have to worry. I didn't have to. I could just literally park it anywhere without paying for parking. My tickets went down the drain, like, or at least.
significantly, yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So the first one is waiting to overextending just to buy the perfect home, right? So
Correct.
you don't know what your costs are, you don't know what you can afford. So what's the second one? What's the second piece?
Well, the second one is okay. So once you have the pre-approval, you have your finances together, you know what you can buy. The thing is, after that, is having um, someone having unrealistic expectations, because, like you said, the cost of a house now is more expensive than it has ever been in the past, and then
Absolutely.
the
Yep.
interest rates. So when you couple those together, you might not be able to walk in and buy your dream house, but you still want a house. You don't want to remain a renter. So having the expectation that your first home is going to be this magnificent place. It can be a great place, but it may not be the square footage you want. It might not
Right.
have all the bells and whistles that you want. So usually my recommendation is, if the house is in the neighborhood you want, but it might be a little smaller than you want, it might need a little fixing up,
TLC. Yep.
maybe go ahead with that purchase, and then when you're able to do better or get something more 5 or 6 10 years down the line, then go ahead and do that. But if you can't move your house, so you could find this great magnificent house, but it's in a neighborhood you don't want, you can't pick it up and take it to the neighborhood you
No,
want.
you can't.
So
Right,
you might
right.
as well buy a house in the neighborhood you want that might need a little TLC, and go from there.
Or possibly go expand your search to another neighborhood, another locale that might actually be a little less expensive, or you can get a better house for less money, right? So
Yeah.
it's the balance. No,
Now,
I've
and
seen that a lot.
sometimes for some people it's like a matter of school districts, for so because
Oh
most,
yeah,
when families are looking for housing, they usually want to complete their purchase before August so that they can register their kids for school, because some people are really set on a particular little zone, and that's the only place they can search within that couple mile radius for that particular neighborhood. So those are the people that I really give that advice to. Now, if you're flexible and you don't mind stretching out your search 10, 15, 30 miles or so, then we can probably find you exactly what you're looking for. But it does take a little flexibility, and obviously, like I said, having realistic expectations about where you can live.
absolutely. So now we're looking at um, so buying something a little not being afraid of that ugly house, right? So
Hmm.
why is that? So that actually, which leads us to the next piece, right? So why being lowering one's expectations, and it's not like we want to put you in a shitty house, right? I don't
No,
think that's the issue.
absolutely not.
The issue is finding a house that might have solid bones, right, but may not be as pretty as you want it to be.
Correct.
um, and then slowly changing the tile later, or changing the
Yeah.
backsplashing, or repainting, like little touches that you can do to improve it. um, and so then, which kind of leads us to the third biggest mistake that home buyers do, right? Which is, what's the third biggest mistake?
Well, keep renting and paying your landlord's mortgage. I heard
Right.
somebody say before, we're all paying a mortgage. It's just whose mortgage are we paying? So when you
Yep.
when you are paying rent, you are paying the mortgage. You are paying the mortgage every single month. You're just not getting the equity and the benefits that come along with paying a mortgage. You're paying your landlord's mortgage. So
Right.
overall, rent is high and mortgages are high. It's
Hmm.
like the tale of which is worse, which is better. Do you rather pay your own for your own, put into your own equity, or do you want to keep paying into somebody else's equity?
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. I think regardless, the ability of paying a mortgage, you're paying someone's mortgage. That's fantastic. I've never heard that, but that's actually so true. You're always paying somebody's mortgage. If you're paying rent, you're paying your landlord's mortgage. But if you're paying your own mortgage, then you're actually building the equity and growing the opportunity. That is
Yep.
definitely some sound advice. It's definitely sound. And would you say that in some cases that buying your own house, you're actually paying less in rent these days? In some less monthly payment in some cases.
And well, rent is super expensive now, so you're
Yeah.
you're you're basically paying to live in a box. So the same $2,300 that most are paying, because that's average rent right now, about
Yep.
2,300, I believe.
Okay.
Tack on a couple more hundred, 25, 3,000, you're in a house, so you're not living in a one bedroom box, two bedroom box, full house with a backyard or a nice condo, but it's yours. You're building the equity. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's any cheaper to buy, but it's all about perspective and what your real goals are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was doing you said 2,300 was the average, right?
I believe
So if we were to
2,300.
say, let me see, how do this is not working. Let's see, 250,000, right? And you're putting, let's say, 3% down,
Mm-hmm.
and then your loan amount is that. What interest rates are, what, 6.5 now these days?
6.5 roughly. Yep, says
Yep.
average rent
30
21
years.
to 25 per month, and 1,700 for a studio, 23 for a one bedroom, and 3,000 or more for a two bedroom. So
Yep. So if we were to say, let's say average taxes are about 6,000, that's just really high, right?
yep,
So your total mortgage payment on a person that you're buying a property is for a $250,000 house at $6,000 in property taxes. You're paying, and it's a 3% down. So we're talking about an FHA loan.
yep,
You're at $2,300 a month.
yep. So that's pretty
What's with the
comparable.
PMI?
Within $100 or so, it's comparable. So, like I said, it's all really about
Absolutely.
perspective, because obviously, if you're a renter, you're not taking on the same expenses, so you're not responsible for trash and all of those good things. And homeowners have to also count in the expense of, you're paying all your utilities, you're paying for all maintenance and everything like that. Renters don't have necessarily that obligation, but again, like I said, it's about perspective, because at the end of the day, we're not really here to force anybody to go into home ownership. Not everybody feels that's a step that they want to take. Some people are absolutely happy being renters for the rest of their lives, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it is just about perspective and what's important to you.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, I will throw out there. So there's a couple great lenders that I've worked with over the years. But the cool part is if they're looking to buy a 2-unit or a 3-unit or even a 4-unit building, right? Interestingly enough, I don't know if you know this, but the lender will count the income from the rent as towards your income. Your
Yep, house
qualification.
hacking. House
House
hacking is what we call
hacking.
it. Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, basically, so if you purchase a 2 or 3 unit, and obviously that is your primary residence, so let's just say you take on the first floor, and then you have tenants in the second and third floor. So they're essentially paying the bulk, if not all, of your mortgage payment. So you're essentially living there almost for free, So that
Yep.
is ideal if you're a person that doesn't necessarily want. And I don't know, people don't really sometimes consider an apartment or a condo. It's a home. If you own it, that's your home. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
when we say home, they're thinking of a house, picket fence, backyard. That's not everybody's idea of a home. A condo, townhouse, all of those things are home. So if you own a 3 unit, your home, and you have renters in there, that is also an investment property. And so, like I said, you're pretty much getting to have income coming in, while your cost may be significantly lower than someone that's living in a single family home, because you're getting that as an investment as well. So people are paying you every month to stay in your home essentially. So that's
Absolutely.
ideal.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. I think there are also some disciplines to go with it. Like if you're buying and you've got a 3-unit building, for example, and you're paying a little bit extra, I tell my clients, keep paying yourself rent. Like every month, take $1,000 or $1,500 and put it on the side as
Yep.
rent to yourself, right? And then you got that 1,500 or whatever it is, plus you're getting at least 15 to 2,000 of each additional unit. So you're paying off your mortgage, plus you're putting money in the bank. I once did the assessment, and it was like over the course of 10 years, if someone's paying $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year. That's $250,000 lost that I had to pay for the house,
Yep.
right? But if I'm collecting 2,000 per unit and I've got 4,000, I've got like a 3-unit building, I'll take my 2,000 and the other 2,000, right, from the other two people. That's 6,000 a month that I'm collecting. So now, instead of losing $250,000 over 10 years, I'm making $700,000
Yes.
over 10 years. That's $1 million swing, right? That is a game changer for so many people's lives.
Yep.
Without question. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And not only that, like the house hacking, because you get to use other people's income, you can buy a second house. You can buy another house within 8 months? I think you have to wait a year, right, to buy your second one. So your first one, you buy it, it's 3 units. Your second one, a year later, you move again, right, and buy another one. So now we've got 2 buildings. I mean, you could become a real estate mogul to really build generational wealth very quickly. Within 3 to 5 years, you can own 3 to 5 4-unit buildings.
Yeah, and I've heard it be said that, that, and like I said, it's personal choice, but you should not buy a single family first, so to speak, if your plan is to be an investor, because your single family home, the home you're living in, is not necessarily an investment. It's just where you live. But if that's your goal, hey, fine, so be it. But others who want to actually invest, 2 or 3 unit is the way to go.
Absolutely. And have you helped people with doing that, the house hacking and finding 2 to 3 unit buildings that they can buy into?
I have. And some of the resources that were even available for that was I had a couple of my clients use the NACA program.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they've used NACA to do that. So there's a lot of resources, however you decide to buy. There's down payment assistance programs. And, a lot of things just people don't know about that you can get into, either like a single family or 2 to 3 units with down payment assistance programs as well.
That's awesome. All right. So we kind of hit it, right? The 3 biggest mistakes that first-time home buyers do. One, they overextend themselves just to buy the perfect home. So they're not looking at their numbers, how much they can afford, what can they afford, what can they do. The second thing is they have unrealistic expectations. Like they're looking for top of the line fixtures and furnishings when they really can't. Basically, their budget doesn't afford that, right?
Correct.
And they hold themselves back, or they're like, you know what, forget it. I can't find the perfect house, so I'm just going to keep renting.
I'm going to
paying
keep
somebody
renting.
else's mortgage.
Yep.
Right. Paying somebody else's mortgage. That's fantastic. So, Nikki, how can people get a hold of you if they wanted to reach you?
Well, they can reach me at Nikki, Nikki, at krgwrealty.com, or I am on Facebook as Nikki Runnels, so that's my handle, and Instagram, Nikki.RunnelsRealtor. So those are my handles.
KGRRealty.com?
KRGW.
KRGW.com. Wow, this thing is not working. I was going to try to put it as your... That's not working for me.
I can put it in chat.
Perfect. I love it. Let me see if I can drop it in here so people can see it. There we go. All right. I love it. I'm going to do that from now on. I'm going to put people's emails address on the bottom of the thing. Right? Nikki at krgwrealty.com. That's how you can reach Nikki Runnels to help you find that first-time home. Or if you are struggling, running into some distress, you can reach out to her and she can help you find and work on finding solutions, options, and ways to kind of offset that. So that way you're not left holding the bag.
Absolutely.
Nikki, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Any last, let's throw some fun stuff in. Favorite restaurant?
Ooh, well, used to be Hooters till a couple of weeks ago. I love
Oh,
those.
what happened?
I love those TMI wings.
Yes, yes, the wings.
Yeah,
Hooters wings are fantastic.
TMI
What
wings and the
changed?
TMI shrimp. And had a little difficulty with management the last time I was there. So I'm still waiting for corporate to call me back about a
Got it.
very petty issue we had that could have been resolved very easily had the manager just decided to be a manager. But
Got
yeah,
it.
so Hooters,
Hooters.
Hooters.
Okay. Any recommended? Are you an avid book reader?
I read mostly romance and fiction.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if people want to go with what I'm reading.
Well, what is? Are you like 50 Shades of Grey type reading? What's on your?
Ooh, I read
What's
all of those. I read all of those, and they got kind of too much for me. The first and second one were kind of good. I'm more of a Kimberly Lawson Roby girl. I've
okay?
read her whole Curtis Black Pastor series. I'm really into
Got it.
that. I recommend those. Highly recommend that to people.
All right. What's it called? The what series?
Kimberla, Kimberla Lawson Roby. And she has
Okay.
a whole series about this crazy pastor that just can't get his life right. So I'm really
Got
into
it.
that series.
I love it. I love it. A little bit of reality there. A little bit of
Yeah,
reality. Nikki,
little bit of reality mixed with fiction.
absolutely. Nikki, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today
you.
on the
Thanks
Bow
for
Tie
having
Edge.
me.
It was fantastic. And we're going to see everybody on June 22nd of this year
Yes.
from 5 to 7 p.m. We're going to do some a lot of the stuff that we talked about today, but we're going to drive deep into it. So we're going to go what is it? An inch wide and a mile deep on what to do and
Yes.
how to do it, not just kind of talking about what can be done, but actually how to do it itself. It's a webinar. It'll be out there. Look for it on Eventbrite. Look for it on our socials. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday.
Bye bye.